Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Hope you're good, hope you're good. Where do I put this track map and position myself? That is the question. And move that down there. Hey everyone! Just trying to sort out how I position myself. Hang on. There we go. Make myself a bit smaller so that you guys can have that there. Oh, it's such a weird shape. I'm going to have to move. Actually, I can move that over to the right-hand side over here. And that can go over there. Bosh! There we go. Happy as Larry. Oh, this is new as well. Look at this. Everyone's names coming up in different colours. Oh, that's nice. Oh, oh, little update from Streamlabs. Everyone's got their own unique colour now. Hope you're doing well, guys. Hope you're doing well. Apparently track temp will be hot. Yes, yes. And also, I mean, 51 degrees. 51.3 degrees track temp. Oh, my days. That is ridiculous. In addition, there is a new track surface as well. So maybe that is also playing a factor. The track has been relayed and will no doubt come into play and have an effect on the tyres this weekend. Probably because they're not out on circuit yet, Leo. Yeah, it's not normally like this. I'm sure once they go out on circuit and practice gets underway, that will sort itself out. That's nothing to do my end, unfortunately. Can I make this slightly bigger? Oh, I can. There we go. Just about fitting it in there, I think, maybe. Move it up. Maybe move the sub box a bit. I didn't move the sub box out of the way. There we go. Let's move that there. Then we can make use of all the room. Bosh. Is everyone driving? It's gonna make the race a lot more interesting, Joe. Hope you're well, mate. I ain't seen you for a while. You still doing iRacing? Max 5 plays grid penalty on Sunday. Must be yeah. So he's got if you're just joining and wondering, yeah, Max Verstappen, he has got an engine penalty. Now apparently I think it's just a new ICU. It's not. I think that's what they're changing. So they said that the remainder of the season, it will be fine. So yeah, just league racing, not many officials. Fair enough, mate. Yeah, don't blame you in some sense, actually. What's my opinion on Visa Cash App pulling out of a tweet? Yeah, so I saw this. I saw a random tweet and I didn't look too much into it because I woke up there. I was up till 5 a.m. this morning with little one. So I woke up at 11:30, 11:45. So I kind of loaded up my phone and was like, oh, what's going on here? What is going on here? So it's not a good sign if a massive sponsor like that pulls out of the team. That's for sure. Not a good sign at all. I know, it's my last week off of paternity leave, guys. So, yes, I've been able to do every single... I mean, most of them have been evening sessions anyway. But middle of the afternoon, I'm back to work next week. So, yeah, the Vegas is a bit different because that's going to be early in the morning. But for the majority... for Abu Dhabi practice and for Qatar practice, I probably won't be able to make FP1, unfortunately, due to being back at work. But hey ho, we still make all the important sessions. Yeah, really good, Leo. Yeah, really good. They're doing well, thanks. They were there for Danny Rick. Max has used up every component he can, so if anything whatsoever fails, it will be a penalty. Yeah. Is that genuinely why they were there? Was there a relationship with Danny Ricciardo? Thanks, Lee. Get me into Formula 1. I'm too old myself. I'm 18, which means you can't race. You're never too young to do I mean, that's why we do sim racing, Lee. That's why I do sim racing. I didn't get into racing when I was younger, even though my granddad was actually a racing driver himself. But yeah, he got me into golf instead. Let's move myself down a bit so that's out of the way. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to her getting into F1 and just motorsport in general. So, and just kind of like, I'm a big geek, guys. I love like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, just films, TV show, like fantasy and stuff, sci-fi, and I can't wait for her to kind of hopefully get into that. I've slowly converted the missus, brought her around to kind of liking some of the stuff and watching some of the stuff that I like. But yeah, right, there we go. Colours are on the screen, team colours there. So there we go. Not everyone confirmed. Not everyone in the same race car, guys. You had 3 daughters, not one of them interested in racing. Oh, I mean, that's how it can go, Shawnee, I guess, isn't it? There's a fine line between imparting on them what you want, obviously what you enjoy, but ultimately you got to let them make their own decisions and enjoy what they want. So, coming at 32k this weekend, it'd be nice to. Yeah, it'd be nice to. Everyone, continue please to hit that subscribe button. It'd much help. It'd much appreciated. If that doesn't work, be taking my future son to karate. Oh, wicked. Hey, Luffy. Luffy, not Luffy. Luffy. Sorry, apologies, One Piece fans. Hey, Cora. How much time to FP1? FP1 will be starting in just 5 minutes time. 5 minutes time is when FP1 gets underway, guys. So yeah, thanks again for tuning into this watch along. So if you're unfamiliar with the format for this weekend, it is another sprint race weekend. So we have only one practice session, and well, we have the sprint qualifying this evening, so we'll be live for that, so be sure to tune in for that. Sprint race in the morning tomorrow. I say morning, the earlier session, and then the main qualifying for the race on Sunday. Now, big news if you're unaware, Kevin Magnussen has food poisoning, so he is not able to participate today, and because we got sprint qualifying, that means Ollie Behrman, as reserve driver for Haas, is stepping in once again. And if you qualify, you have to then do the race. You can't then just swap out for the driver who has missed, swap back out for the main driver. So yeah, Ollie Behrman will be doing FP1, sprint quali, and the sprint race tomorrow. And if Magnussen is good to go, then he will be back in qualifying tomorrow afternoon. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough week for him, tough weekend with jumping straight into quali, but he's qualified on pole here before, so he knows his way around this circuit. You hear from last stream with Spanners. I'm a lot more awake than I was with that stream with Spanners yesterday, Tiger. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the preview, buddy. Looking forward to this weekend. Love the track. Yeah, so if you Interlagos for me is the one of, if not the most historic racing circuit on F1. It's up there with Silverstone for me, and it should never, ever, ever be removed from the calendar. I think this track should be the finale of every single F1 season. It has never let us down when it's been the finale. It rarely lets us down on race weekends. I think we've had one maybe boring race in the last 10 years coming here. So yeah, and if you're looking at the weather forecast like I have been, today's dry, but this weekend is very intermittent weather conditions, as is always the case in Brazil, so in Sao Paulo. I think I should have 1 million subscribers. I think I should do 2, Leo. I think so too. If you know, I'm doing the maths now. If you know, basically 968,500 people who haven't yet subscribed to this channel, please tell them to. Food poisoning sucks, yeah. Someone had a bet on Ollie Behrman, didn't they? Thanks, Luffy. Thanks, greatest. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. It's good to see regular names popping back in and new names as well. I do remember people. who I do remember names, of course. So, and those of you who just have me on in the background, much appreciated as always. So we get consistent numbers, and my stats tell me that we get a high proportion of returning viewers. So yes, those of you who are subscribed and been watching these streams, I'm clearly doing something right because you keep coming back. So you're glad you came before 50k subs. This is still early doors. I mean, 31,500 subs, 31,000 or 31 and nearly 7,000 subs. It is amazing. 700 subs is amazing. It's all relative at the end of the day. A year ago, I was looking at people with this amount of subs and going, oh, I'd love to be there. So, yeah, can't complain. My stats are correct, Mally, yeah. But not long till FP1 gets underway, guys. So, yeah, let's see who's going to be strong here this weekend. So I'm suspecting Ferrari to continue on their great form that they've had. They've stated in particular, I heard Red Bull, the guys at Red Bull state that Ferrari are really strong in the slow corners at the moment. I think I heard something similar from McLaren as well. So we're expecting, of course, with particularly the middle sector, that is where Ferrari will be particularly strong. McLaren still strong. I mean, look, if the scenario with Max Verstappen didn't happen last week, Lando would have been right behind Carlos Sainz and probably would have won that race because he wouldn't have had to got past Charles Leclerc and lost all that time behind Max. So expect McLaren to be strong. Lots of points on offer, of course, and it's a big weekend in the championship. Not just the drivers, but the constructors as well, as Ferrari are now only 31 points, I think it is, 33 points in the constructors behind McLaren. So Piastri really needs to pull his finger out of his behind and actually get in the top 5. Not just for Lando Norris, but for McLaren's constructors' aspirations. Because imagine they don't win the constructors. I mean, that'd be unforgivable, wouldn't it, really? But here we go. FP1 is underway. Green light. Away we go. An hour's session at Interlagos, the only practice session at Interlagos. And interestingly, how hot is that track temperature? 52.6 degrees. Oh my. Now, guys, if you're unfamiliar with the Interlagos circuit, it's been resurfaced. So that is also going to be a big factor here this weekend, especially with the fact it hasn't really been rubbered in. There's been no racing on this surface pretty much since it got laid. So it's a very, very green circuit, which means that there could be lots of sliding, a lack of grip, and, well, if there's rain, as forecast this weekend, that will just wash away any rubber that is laid down in the sessions prior to that weather coming in. So that will make it very interesting over the course of this weekend. So, yes, only 1 hour for these drivers to get their setups in check. Now, what I'm intrigued about is whether there's a pattern that I think has formed this year where Red Bull have had the better of all the teams when it comes to sprint race weekends. They seem to get their car in a much better window than McLaren, than Ferrari in just that 1 hour session. And while all the talk is still, of course, about McLaren and Ferrari, understandably, I wonder if that pattern is going to continue, and with that new part that Max has in his car, if they'll be able to dial that setup in quicker and then McLaren, and McLaren are then chasing the weekend again like they were in Circuit of the Americas, because they sorted the setup out for the main qualifying in the race on Sunday, but of course they were left lagging in the sprint quali and sprint race. So definitely a 2-stop. Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. I mean, if it's rain, it could be a 3 or 4 stop. That's the beauty of Interlagos. No, it hasn't. No running has been undertaken on this new track surface, Eric. So it's a very, very green track surface. Stephen, I'm surprised you've said that, since in the past we've mostly only heard about Ferrari performing well at low downforce circuits. Yes, well, that's the beauty of, I mean, that's how good, I say beauty, that's the beauty of this upgrade that Ferrari bought at Monza. Now, people thought it was primarily directed at Monza in itself and just targeting that race, but it's had a longer lasting effect than that. It's sorted out their porpoising issues, and the car has been tremendous since Monza. So Singapore, I still stand by it. If it wasn't for Ferrari forgetting to turn on their tyre blankets, then Sainz and Leclerc should have been pretty much in between Max and Lando on that race weekend. But of course, Sainz crashed, as we know, partly due to dirty air and cold tyres with no tyre, with those tyre blankets not turned on correctly, and Charles Leclerc also. So they qualified 9th and 10th, and you're just chasing when you're in that position, or starting position in Singapore. So yeah, it's been a great turnaround for Ferrari, and they're ending the year strongly. And yeah, Lewis Hamilton must be looking at that team going, oh yeah. Track surface is surprisingly bumpy considering it's a new surface, which isn't great for Red Bull. I love I love the green and yellow curbs at Interlagos as well. It's one of the things I'm a bit gutted about. I think Interlagos needs a rescan on iRacing because it looks a bit dull, doesn't it, on iRacing? Don't know about you guys, those you sim racers out there. It does seem to be a bit like lacking in colour and brightness and vibrance compared to like the TV images that you look. So F1 newbie here. What's determines starting position in free practice? Nothing really, Luana. Free practice, you go out as and when you want to. You can use as many tyres as you want to. You can use as much fuel as you want to. There's no limitation there in that regard. And yeah, it's where you end up. The actual standings in free practice have no bearing on the race weekend itself, other than giving us F1 nerds an insight into kind of long runs, a particular insight into maybe quali pace. The problem is with practice is that we don't have... It's all kind of hush-hush. It's all very secretive. We don't know how much fuel the cars have on board. Every 10 kilograms of fuel on the car equates to three temps a lap. That is how much fuel has effect on a car. So sometimes we'll see an Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso go really quickly, and that'll be because he's just taken all the fuel out of the car, and it's what we call kind of a glory run. And then there's also engine modes. Sometimes they have the engine turned down to protect it. They're not running it at peak capacity because we're at the end of the season now, and they need to protect those parts and not put much stress on it. And battery modes as well. They might be saving the battery. So there's so many different reasons of why lap times can look skewed in practice. But there are insights that you can... There's details that you can pick out from practice that kind of give you a little bit of an indication of where teams and drivers align. So, do I play on F1 24? No, I play on iRacing. Weather report this weekend, Luca, is wet. Saturday's intermittent, but Sunday's wet. So, yeah, looks good, looks good. Who's going to take the Sauber seat? I mean, there's a rumour that's floating around today about K-Mag taking the Sauber seat. So, we're basically going to see the Haas lineup in Sauber next year. Hulkenberg and Magnussen. Imagine that. I hope it isn't, with respect. I think K-Mag has kind of run his course in F1. I've spoken about the recycling of drivers, and I think it'd be great if they brought through one of their junior drivers, really. You've already got the experience of Hulkenberg. Bring through a junior. Like, you may have a breakthrough driver like Colapinto. I'm not saying... I mean, probably not, really. It's going to be tough for whoever's in that second seat because the Sauber isn't a great car. I don't expect it to be much better next year, but at least like give them an opportunity in F1 so that they're not... They become accustomed or have a year of being accustomed to the F1 circus. Ocon's going extremely fast. Is that a glitch? No. Do I think there'll be a possible safety car this weekend? Since the yeah, I mean, I think the safety car, the probability of a safety car at Interlagos has always been quite high. I'm going to guess over 50% of the races, or at least 50% chance of a safety car at Interlagos. Oh, purple middle sector from Lando Norris. Let's see where he goes on the medium compound tyre. No doubt we'll see some quali runs in this practice session as well, guys, towards the end with sprint quali this afternoon. This is a track, however, where... Oh, half a second quicker. This is a track, however, where track position isn't the be-all and end-all. This is a circuit where it is possible to overtake. So, of course, track position is still key. Clean air is king, as we know. Throughout, obviously, this season with the dirty air that is put off these cars now. But Russell going fastest in the first sector as second sector. What's the difference between inters and wets? Inters are kind of, they don't have as deeper grooves in the tyre, so they disperse less water. So that means that they don't heat up as quickly in kind of slightly wet conditions. So that's basically it. So do I think Audi would dominate F1 too, like WEC? I don't know. I have very low expectations for Audi, as George Russell goes to a 112.2. So the track is going to get quicker and quicker, as we mentioned, with more rubber that's laid down. The track is going to get quicker and quicker, guys, as it's a brand new track surface. Perez fastest in the first sector now as well. Yeah, I think. What was I saying? Yeah, I think it's going to take Audi a lot of time to get up to speed. And they're not going to hit the ground running, especially with the state that Sauber is. They're not taking over a team that's even... It's not like they're taking over a Haas team, you know? I mean, let's say Toyota, they're going into partnership with Haas right now, a technical partnership. That might be their route back into F1. Maybe eventually Toyota take over full ownership of Haas, and they take over a team that's at the front of the midfield. They're in a better suited position to push that team onwards to get into the fight in the top teams. Whereas Haas, Sauber are right at the back. So, of course, it's a brand new regulation set coming in, but it's still, if you've got better team morale, if the team has done better over the last few seasons, even in a new regulation set, you're more likely to perform better in a new when the new regs come around than if you're just at the back 2 seconds off the pace every time, every race. Every moment you think about where it's the race gets red flag. Unfortunately, last year it does seem that way, doesn't it? You'll wait another Norris and Verstappen controversy. I know. So this is the thing. This is key for Norris. Qualifying is key because we've spoken about it on the Missed Apex podcast, and I think it's a relevant topic or a relevant train of thought. But Max knows and Red Bull know they don't really have the car over a race distance. Their race pace is lacking. And we've seen that over, even in Circuit Americas, where Max fell away over the duration of the race. But he's able to get that car high up in qualifying. And it makes you wonder, are they setting the car up for qualifying, get track position ahead of Norris, just ensure they're ahead of Norris, or in a scenario where they can get ahead of Norris into the first corner, and Max then makes it extremely difficult for Norris to get past him, because ultimately Lando needs to win races. He needs to win the races. There are 7 points between first and second, and then of course it dramatizes more if Max is finishing in 4th and 5th. So if Lando finishes in 1st and Max finishes in 4th or 5th, that's over that 11 points that Lando needs in these remaining races, or 12 points he needs in these remaining races. If he stops Lando from winning and he only finishes 2nd, like he did last week, and Max still finishes 4th or 5th, there's not enough in the points advantage with the remaining races we have left for Lando to beat Max. So I think that's what we'll see here again this weekend. It's all about just Lando and just ensuring he's ahead of him and making it as difficult as possible. Even if he eventually gets past him, Max knows he probably has the car to finish ahead of the Mercedes, because the Mercedes have really fallen back. Although they do generally go quite well here at Interlagos. And as long as Lando doesn't win, then that points difference or advantage, back points gain, just isn't enough. Yuki Tsunoda flying. Yeah, needs a strong weekend, doesn't he, after last week? And Alex Albon as well. Both drivers a bit under pressure. Is there a good SF23 league at the moment? I don't know, Lars. Apex always did a good one. Apex Racing. I haven't done any league racing for some time. I just don't get... I can't commit to league racing, unfortunately. The fuck is Perez doing at the top of the timing sheet? It's only practice. It's only practice, Loro. We're just over 10 minutes into FP1. Plenty of time. We are definitely going to see some quali runs at some point or another. Very interesting, but these Tsunoda and Lawson, the two RB cars, are on the soft compound tyres. Only drivers out there on the softs. Interesting. The data's lagging quite a bit. Yeah, is it? I don't think it is. Alonso crosses the line now, and his lap time updated. Seems to be okay to me. Piastri seems to lack performance on purpose. I don't think it's on purpose. I think Piastri is just he had the car last week to get into Q3 easily. Now his lap that he eventually did didn't. The lap that he eventually didn't get him through, of course, to Q1, even when he went off track. But when you go off track, you're always going to slightly lift off anyway. You're going to lose time. But he would have comfortably got through to Q2 if he didn't go off track at turn 12. So it's a driver error from him. It was a driver error in Kota as well with another off track. So he's really, he is really kind of letting the side down at the moment. Not just for Lando, but which he probably doesn't care too much about, but it's the constructors. And I bet you there is probably a nice chunky monetary bonus clause in his contract if he's able to get McLaren to win the constructors. So it is in his best interest as well. First to third is a bigger difference in third to seventh. Norris, exactly, James. Yeah, and that's probably Max's thinking and Red Bull's thinking. So why is Colapinto stuck? He's not stuck. He's out there. I mean, the data on my end is moving all okay, guys. So hopefully it is on your end. Your TV is slightly behind by about a second. Yes, Loro. So TV coverage is always there is always a slight delay. So I have this on kind of like no delay in regards to the data that comes through. So yeah, sometimes you may have to just pause this if you want to. Just pause this stream and then sync it up with your TV, and then that way, yeah, you'll have basically it kind of in sync, really. Hey, Tur, good to see you. I'm good, 23. Thank you. Hope you're doing well too. Did I program this? No, I am nowhere. Someone much more knowledgeable and doing a great service to the community program this. This bit of software that I'm using now is a free bit of software. You just need a subscription with F1 TV. And they use this in commentary boxes and stuff as well because you get so much data from it. So it's crazy that they've put this together and not F1. So it's Interlagos and you're off this weekend from work. Lovely jubbly. Lots of F1. Lots of important F1 to be watched this weekend. Oh, Verstappen fastest in the first sector. All on the medium compound tyres at the moment. So these times are kind of not really relative. Let's have a look at what pole was last year. So these cars, as we know, on average about quicker. They are quicker than about 1 second quicker than they were last year. Fun fact, actually, is what I saw. The Sauber, even though it's the slowest car this year, is still quicker on average than the Red Bull of last year. That is how much improvement in development these teams have made since last year. That is crazy to think that the Sauber that is slowest this year is still quicker than last year's Red Bull car. That's absolutely crazy. What was I looking at just then? I was looking at the times from last year, wasn't I? Interlagos. So let's go F1. 31.7k. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let's get out to 32k. Can Lando win this? Of course he can. As long as he gets a good, decent qualifying, and maybe Max Verstappen isn't. Knowing Lando, he'll get it on pole position, and Max Verstappen will get it on the front row, and we know what's going to happen into turn 1. You just know what's going to happen into turn 1. I'm trying to see the results from last season's results. So 2023. Hang on, results. So 2023. We want to see Brazil and qualifying last season. Well, sprint shootout quali last season was a 1:10.6. A 1:10.6 and qualifying, the main qualifying was actually a tenth slower. So yeah, 1:10.6 is the times you're looking at. I mean, we're just a second off from that at the moment on the mediums, but no doubt when the softs come out, low fuel runs with them doing their quali runs, we'll see. Reckon there'll be a new record lap this time. It depends really, Ben, with the new track surface that they've got laid. It all depends on how that track beds in. it could not be that good. So it might not be that quick, but we'll see. I think it applies to the main race, Moon. I think it applies to the main race, his engine penalty. So if Piastri was a good teammate, he would crash into Max. He wouldn't crash into Max. He'd at least put his car in between him and Lando. But he's not doing that. It is Bottas levels, I've said it before, it is Bottas levels of support in 2021. If you actually go back and look at, okay, Bottas's probably biggest contribution was Hungary, I think people would say, going bowling down into turn 1. But if you actually look at Bottas, how many times he actually put his car in between him, Lewis Hamilton and Max, it was like, never, basically. So, yeah, I mean, whereas Sergio Perez did God's work, didn't he, really, for Max by holding Lewis up. And that kind of made all the difference in the end with that safety car. But because he was held up so much by Perez, he didn't have a free pit stop. And he couldn't come in for a set of soft tyres. That's why he maintained track position, and we know how that ended. Did I just hear them on TV7 at Birmingham race? Yes, if you're just tuning in and you're unaware, K-Mag has food poisoning, so he will not be racing tomorrow. He may be able to make it for qualifying. So the rule currently states that if you're not able to qualify, a driver that does has to then subsequently start the race. So Ollie Behrman, as the reserve driver for Haas, is stepping in. So he's doing FP1 now, and he'll do the sprint qualifying later, which means he has to start the sprint race tomorrow morning. So yeah, shame for K-Mag. Leclerc got people on the fast line 2 laps in a row. Oscar Piastri is the only driver this year to complete every lap so far. Is he? Is he actually? If Piastri was a team player, put a dive bomb on Max, yeah. What do I think is Piastri? What is causing Piastri to slip? I don't know, really. I don't know. Maybe... I mean, if I was Piastri, I would probably just be like, yeah, there's not really any incentive for me to want my teammate to win the World Drivers' Championship. The Constructors is a bit different because, as I said, there's probably a monetary bonus for him if they win the Constructors. I don't know. I think it's just been some driver errors from him, really, that have caused him to... But they're small driver errors, but they've really cost him. They've really cost him, like Q1 in well, I say Q1, like... Q1 in the sprint race last week. The off-track through turn 9... not last week, sorry, Circuit Americas was an off-track there in turn 19. Then you've got the off-track in quali for the Mexico Grand Prix. He was only 5th in and looked way off the pace all weekend when it came to Circuit Americas. So maybe it's just setup issues and stuff, lack of motivation at this point of the season. I don't know. Hey Kelly, I'm good, thank you. Just put K-Mag finishing top 8 for a sprint on your Paddy Power. Oh no. Change it to Behrman. Maybe Paddy Power might do the sub thing that they do in football. So hopefully they'll do that same with F1. Perez was dirty driver when he holding up hand, moved under braking so much. So I do think he moved under braking quite a bit, and I think it was I think he probably, but he did what he had to do, didn't he? Like, I guess, like, what's a penalty? If he gets a penalty, it doesn't matter. It still benefited Max in that scenario. They're not going to penalise Max because that's not how the rules are written. So, yeah. Oscar is 0 team player at all. I mean, partly down to McLaren, though, really. It's down to McLaren not enforcing those team orders a lot sooner. So, on one hand, Oscar's like, I'm in this for myself. I want to win races. And I want to be the #1 driver. And, yeah. What if you're not told otherwise, why would you drive any other way? Herbert is on the steward's duty again this weekend, Charlie, yeah. How do I think drivers such as Ocon and Gasly will stay in the sport? I think they'll be around still for some time. I think it's more likely for Ocon to leave soon before Gasly, because I think Gasly in the Alpine team, if it stays as Alpine, I really don't have much faith that Alpine is going to remain as Alpine, because they're trying to sell it. They're basically just selling it off, aren't they, bit by bit? Not even got their own engines next year. I think Gasly, with his French connections, there will probably is more likely to stay on longer than Ocon. In Haas, we'll see. I mean, Ocon's already going... How many teams has Ocon been at now? He's going to go to Haas. He's been at Alpine. He's been at Force India. What other teams has Ocon been at? I feel like he's been at... Has he been at 4 teams already? Am I missing one? Or is it only 3 teams? He's only 28 as well. It feels like he's been around for ages. Or was it because it was Renault then changed into... Okay, Force India... Became reserve driver for Mercedes in 2019. Signed for Renault, which then changed to Alpine. Now he's going to Haas. Okay, it's because Renault changed names. That's why. Yeah, that's why. What's the maximum position Max should have throughout all races and sprints to win the Drivers' Championship? I don't know in that regard because it all depends on what Lando does. But Lando needs, on average, 12 points every race weekend between now and the end of the season. So we've got 4 race weekends remaining. He needs to gain 12 points on Max every race weekend on average. Now, of course, if he with a sprint race weekend, and I mean, there is potential. What Lando needs is, of course, for him to win the race, but he needs help from others primarily. So, Harold, I think, is too old for F1. 50's too old, yeah. I think Fernando Alonso is probably about to... I mean, it depends, really. I mean, if Fernando Alonso was in a race-winning car, would age even be discussed? That's the thing. But yeah, I do think 45 is probably pushing it. He basically needs Max to retire at least once. Mate, not even that, really. He needs Max to finish kind of outside the top 6 a couple of times, and for him to win the races, that's a significant points advantage. Because let's say so points, I always forget this, the points F1 race. So if he finishes so if Max finished 7th, yeah, so that's not enough, is it, really? 25 to... No, yeah. So if Max finished outside the top 6 and he finished 7th, that's 19 points he's gained on Max. So he really needs Max to finish outside the top 6. And for him to win the race, of course, you've got sprint races as well. He needs him to finish outside the top 5 primarily for him to gain enough points. So if Max finished 6th, that's 8 points. And finishing first is 25. So that is a points advantage of... what is that? 17 points advantage. So that's kind of what he needs is for him to win the remaining races and for Max to finish outside the top 5. But it's a tall order. He needs his teammate to be there. He needs the Mercs to pull their socks up as well. The Ferraris look like they do. Ferraris look like they're more likely to take points off Lando than they are for him, than they are to kind of just slot him behind. So, and as we know, Max is really pushing it in quali at the moment. Like, he's doing absolutely brilliant in quali. They're probably setting that car up to get track position on Lando, or at least have an opportunity to send it on Lando into turn 1, like Circuit Americas, like he possibly could do here. Lando could quite comfortably maybe get it on pole position. Max is second. Max starts on the inside. But if you start on the inside, if you're second here at Interlagos. So, perfect opportunity for him to just lunge it down the inside. I'm ahead at the apex. Similar to what we saw last week in Mexico. So, and there'd be drama all over again. I can see it happening. I can see it happening now. Clip it. Clip it, guys. Clip it. Technically, I was also in Racing Point. Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, I did Force India / Racing Point, isn't it? So, Piastri accidentally bumps into Max. If Lewis finds himself side by side with Max in the race, would Lewis get his elbows out and help Norris? I think he would just get his I don't think he'd be thinking particularly about Norris. I think he would just get his elbows out anyway. I think you're going to see I mean, if Hamilton has... There's a couple of circuits where he gets G'd up for. And it's Silverstone and Interlagos. So... Stuffeyy is the best. You change your name. I agree with that username. If so he's going to be up for this race regardless. Lewis, of course, if he has a sniff at a podium even, let alone the win, you're going to see a G'd up Lewis and not give anything to any other driver, whether it's Max or anyone else. So Yeah, especially with the history they've got here as well. Yeah, it'd be fun. Be fun to watch. Yeah, he has a 5-place grid penalty. Oh, he does. Yes, so he won't. Yeah, but he doesn't take it for the sprint race. He takes it for the main race on Sunday. So he could still do that in the sprint race if he lines up alongside him, you know? Because if he sends it, right, Max could even have the attitude, right? Anything, if he's got the attitude of to stop Lando no matter what, right? He could do exactly what he did in Mexico. So he sends it down the inside. He claims he's ahead at the apex at the start. There's only one way for Lando to go, and that is across the grass. So he has to cut here. So he has to go from turn 1 to turn 2 to rejoin like at turn 3. When you've got the whole field behind you, it's very possible that Lando rejoins 6th or 7th. Like, that is what Max's attitude will be. Guarantee you. Because Max may get a penalty, even if he's not ahead at the apex, and he'll get 10 seconds as an example. But because there is only 1 point from difference from 1st to 8th in the sprint race, so it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, or whatever it is, down to 8th form, I think it is, something like that. He only loses a couple of points, rather than lose, say, 10, or as an example. So, or like 5. So it's all that attitude of just stopping Lando from gaining those required points that he needs in the remaining races. So it is basically just do whatever is possible. Verstappen grid penalty 5 minutes ago. Okay, so it has been confirmed, is it? Let me just have a look. Is a new ICU component for Max being used for the sprint or the race? I think it's being used for the race. Yeah, so Chris Medland's very reputable, probably one of the most reputable journalists in F1, has stated he's using his 6th ICE of the season. The penalty will only apply to Sunday's GP, not the sprints. So there you go, confirmation. It's only the sprint race. Sorry, only the race on Sunday that it will be applicable to. McLaren, I agree, Mike. I do agree. Yeah, I do agree. Max will take it Lando like Italy 21. Oh, track surface slippery in sector 6. What was that for? Turn 6. Oh. By the way, how hot is the track temperature? 55.6 degrees, and the air temperature is only 25, 26 degrees. That is... The track temperature is more than double what the air temperature is. Why is Sergio... Oh, Sergio Perez doing a pit lane start there, just a practice start. What do I think of the controversy news now popping out of Red Bull is offering to buy Colapinto? I just think it's a slap in the face to their junior drivers, particular Isaac Hadjar, if they decide to sign Colapinto, because while Colapinto has done great, and I guess he's proven, it is still a slap in the face to Isaac Hadjar, who's looking to win the F2 championship. He's done very well in that. Of course, you've got Liam Lawson as well. Like, what is the point of having your driver academy if you're just going to go outside of that system? It's not like they're not doing a good job anyway. And the whole reason they're doing it is because they're going to lose a shitload of money when Sergio Perez leaves. And if the rumours are to be believed, Carlos Slim, Sergio Perez's biggest benefactor and sponsor, he is looking to support Colapinto because he's another South American. And yeah, that's looking like it will fill the hole potentially in what Sergio Perez will leave. I think it's purely a business decision. It's not because Colapinto is necessarily impressed them with driving. I think it's because they're like, yeah, he's a good enough driver who can do a job for us, but look how commercially viable he's going to be. That's what I think is leading that kind of those discussions. But James Vowles apparently has dug his heels in and has said, I'm not letting Colapinto go anywhere. He's a Williams driver unless Red Bull really throw some hard cash at Colapinto and his team want to get out of that contract. There's obviously lots of moving parts when it comes to F1 contracts. So, yeah. But I I wouldn't like, as much as I want to see Colapinto on the grid, I wouldn't like to see him in Red Bull, because it means Lawson won't get the seat. It also means Isaac Hadjar might not step up either. And what is the point of that second team and your junior academy if you just go outside of that system when you've got good drivers coming through as well? So Arvid Lindblad's another driver who's he's being promoted to F2 next season. He's another driver who's very highly rated, similar to Antonelli, similar to what Max Verstappen was when he was younger. So, yeah. Hey, Steve-O. The tarmac must be so black it's soaking up the sun rays. Got back. Yes, yeah, I think so. Yeah, new track surface has got to have something to do with that track temperature for sure. Yeah, I mean, look, no one could have predicted that Colapinto... I mean, he, at the start of this year, would not have expected to even get an opportunity in F1, only like the practice sessions. But he's actually taken the ball by its horns and really taken his opportunity well. And Alex Albon is now feeling that pressure because he's now got a driver who's come in with no experience in F1 and is like matching him on performance. And Albon has just had it easy the last couple of years with Latifi and Sargent. So lots of pressure on Albon this weekend. He recovered from a poor start last time out in Mexico, of course, with that crash in FP1. But then Gasly moved over and I mean, Albon wasn't to really... Gasly wasn't to know, really, that Tsunoda was on his outside, on Albon's outside, and Albon just got wedged. So unfortunate for him, but it still just doesn't look good because recency bias and so forth. So... yeah, let's keep an eye out on Albon. It's an important weekend for him, an important remaining weekend for him, because if he doesn't hit the ground running at the start of next year, let's say Colapinto still is a Williams driver, well, you'd probably say Carlos Sainz, who they're spending a lot of money on, is less likely to leave Williams if he's not performing well than, say, Albon is. So, yeah, it could be an interesting dynamic next year in that Williams team with Colapinto potentially waiting in the wings. So both pressure on Albon for sure, more so than maybe Sainz. Do I think Maxi's drop in speed is because of the tamper tape device? I do think there is a correlation in their drop off in pace to when that clarification came out, and the rumours of a device had been, or that Red Bull had been told to remove something from their car. I think you just join the dots up. I think it will come out eventually, but I'm happy it has done because it's I don't care if it has or hasn't. But to be honest, it's brilliant for F1 because look at the season we've now got and the championship we've now got at the end of the season. So, hey Gavin, good to see you, mates. Do I think Haas will get another double points finish? Yeah. Haas look like they don't. I mean, they've got the better of Aston Martin, haven't they? I mean, Interlagos is a bit of a unique circuit where we see struggling teams throughout the course of the season kind of pull it out the bag, shall we say, here. So, yeah, I mean, Aston Martin, we know Alonso's battle last year with Perez, but they've really been struggling, Aston, haven't they? Really struggling. And that's normally who you'd expect to fill those last points positions in the top 10. So, yeah, but Haas look great at the moment. Why is Russell in the pit? So if you're new, it's fine. If you're new to F1, this is just a practice. So just drivers are going out there, gathering data, trying to dial in their setups. They have only one practice session this weekend to get up to speed with their cars, because then we jump straight into sprint qualifying this afternoon. Yes, they're able to change their setups between the sprint race and qualifying tomorrow, but it's still not really... They'd love to have more practice sessions to gather more data, properly dial in those setups and see how those setups perform on kind of the different compound of tyres. But George Russell is now out on a set of softs. Right, are we now going to get some quali runs? This is where practice gets interesting, guys. No, K-Mag isn't going to be racing in the sprint race tomorrow because he has food poisoning, hence why Ollie Behrman has stepped in. So, yeah, Ollie Behrman will be conducting the first half of this weekend for Haas. What's my opinion on the swearing policy in F1? Ridiculous. I think if there's a slip of the tongue like Charles Leclerc had or Max Verstappen had in the press conferences, like just give him a tap on the shoulder, or just give him a fine. You know, just like if they consistently do it, give him a fine. But it's just why are you trying to flog a dead horse? It's just the wrong thing to be focusing about, you know? It's not intentional. If it's intentional swearing, then yes. Like, but it's... Ideally, you want to refrain from swearing in a professional environment, in those press conferences. In the car, no, let them swear, because they're travelling at bloody 200 miles an hour, the adrenaline's pumping, they're in the heat of battle. I'm sorry, the last thing they're thinking about is their language at the end of the day. So, yeah, but in press conferences, if they do it and it's a slip of the tongue and it's genuinely not intentional, like Charles Leclerc, like Max Verstappen, then... just focus. There's bigger things that the FIA should be focusing on, you know. Is it true K-Mag is talking to Sauber? That's the rumour that's gone round this morning, Grace. Yes, that's the rumour that's been floated. Magnussen could be pairing up with Hülkenberg next season. Both of the drivers moving from Haas to Sauber next season. Imagine that. I hope not, as I mentioned. I hope they go for a junior driver instead. No, Max's grid place penalty is only for Sunday, so it doesn't apply to the sprint race. So, which probably means that they're changing it for the sprint race. For the race on Sunday. It did say Aston Martin have a heave spring. I thought springs and dampers have been banned. I have no idea, David. I'll have to look into that. Absolutely no idea. I haven't heard that. The race on Sunday, which teams will benefit the most? Probably Mercedes and Red Bull, if I'm being honest with you. They're the teams that will be maybe wanting wet conditions, because Hamilton and Verstappen in particular excel in wet weather conditions. They have excelled in those conditions at this very circuit, and of course it's the great nullifier. So no doubt I still expect Lando Norris to be strong, because he's in that McLaren and he is very good in the rain. A 10.7 by George Russell, by the way. Sorry, just losing my train of thought there, because I just wanted to bring back up the results for last season. We are already nearly at... So that was pole... Hang on. That would have got George Russell second place last season. That lap just there. So we're already basically on the lap times of pole from last season. That's how quick these cars are compared to last year. Yeah, I think those drivers will be wanting rain. Or maybe not. I mean, looks like Russell and Hamilton are pretty much dialed in straight away. So, we've seen Hamilton with a new engine on this track. I think it's going to be interesting this Sunday. Yeah, it's going to be a great race weekend. At least this track is one Max is great at. Yeah, he's had great success here in the past. So, a few drivers have. We'll see MV1 Storm Lap V2.0. What if Russell? I mean, look, that's the thing. This is the great thing. Anyone can win this race. Anyone. There's no guarantee. I mean, there's no guarantee that Lando will win this race. There's no guarantee that Ferrari will. Yes, if you look at the last couple of races, you'd expect it's Ferrari and McLaren again. But with how this F1 season, you never know. You never know which Mercedes is going to turn up, do you? On race weekends. You don't know which Mercedes is going to turn up session by session. That is how just yo-yo-y they are. And we've seen them do it, turn up at this racetrack before. Max as well. Look, I think he's going to be more focusing on quali. I think the race pace is going to be a struggle for them again. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic there. But yeah, I mean, it's just... Will Sergio Perez have a decent performance? It is a track he's also got some confidence at as well. So don't rule a good performance from Sergio Perez out this weekend. I mean, he definitely needs it, doesn't he, after last week? I mean, Jesus, we couldn't think Mexico could get any worse for him. But he managed to exceed everyone's expectations in that regard. Love to see Hulk or K-Mag do another Haas pole. I don't think it will happen. That was very specific conditions for them to get that on pole. You're hoping Bottas doesn't leave F1 scoring no points in his last season in that shitbox. Yeah, it'd be a shame. It'd be a sad end for him. It will be a sad end. Bonjour, Gabriel. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, welcome everyone. Though, if you are enjoying this stream, over 1,100 of you here in this stream right now, please hit that like button. We've only 185 likes. If you're yet to hit that subscribe button, please do so as well. We're trying to hit 32,000 subs. We're going to be here, of course, for the sprint shootouts, sprint quali, whichever it's called now, this afternoon, or later on this afternoon in a few hours' time. And of course, we have the sprint race tomorrow, the qualifying for the main race on Sunday as well tomorrow, and of course, we'll be here for the race on Sunday. We are yet yet to miss a single race weekend in the F1 calendar, which I'm super proud of. This round 21, it feels like this year has absolutely flown by, and well, there's still lots of racing to be had. We still have one more sprint race weekend as well in Qatar, and a triple header to end this season. So it looks like both championships, hopefully, I think the constructors definitely is, but it looks like hopefully both championships are going to go down to the end of the season, which I don't think anyone expected after Max winning the first 4 races this year by 20 plus 15 seconds. Russell needs to win another race to become the 7th driver this season to win multiple races. I know. Well, if Sergio Perez wins, it is still possible, I know. That'd be 8 different race winners this season. But I highly doubt it, though. Even the new engine, Red Bull's going to struggle with pace on Sunday. Yeah, it's not really a new engine, though, Brownie. It's a new part for the engine. So the ICE, I think, is the battery, isn't it? Is it the battery? The ICE, or is that the ICU? It's not the actual main power unit itself, so it's a part that's around the power unit. So yeah, they're still going to struggle because I just think their car just isn't that great on tyres. We've seen that. We've seen that drop off. So he get a 190-second penalty and still win. If Bottas gets kicked off Sauber and doesn't ever get an F1 seat, it'll be so sad. Yeah, I think it'll be sad, but I think it'll be the right time for Bottas. I think, as I've mentioned previously, I think we're at the point of where let's move on from this recycling of old drivers. I think Magnussen's very fortunate to still be in F1. I was not too happy about Hulkenberg when he first came back to F1, but he's proven me wrong, so I hold my hands up there. I think Bottas's time has come to an end. You could arguably say Sergio Perez's time has come to an end in F1. And with respect, I don't want to see Perez move down into another team. I think we've got enough young talent now coming through the junior ranks. Give those drivers an opportunity. The younger drivers like Behrman and Colapinto have done absolutely brilliant for junior drivers' opportunities in F1, rather than other teams maybe thinking about taking the safer option of just sloppy seconds to the top teams of those drivers being moved down the grid. And I get they can impart some knowledge from those top teams, and maybe that's why they've been brought in, so Bottas could impart some knowledge to Alfa Romeo and / Sauber in regards to what he learned at Mercedes, but that clearly hasn't worked because they run on different resources. So yeah, I think it's now kind of like a changing of the guard. We're going to see lots of rookies next season, and I think that's what you need to do in F1 to keep it fresh as well for us, because the driving, I mean, look at how Liam Lawson's got under the skin of Fernando Alonso and Sergio Perez in the space of 2 race weekends. Like, not really from doing anything wrong as well. Just because he's a youngster and those older drivers have got their backs up because they're like, how dare this driver make a move on me? Do you not know who I am? No, Liam Lawson doesn't give a fuck who you are. All these younger drivers. Ollie Behrman wouldn't think twice. I don't think Antonelli's going to think twice next year either. I don't think a number of drivers are going to think twice next year. Jack Doohan as well. Like, they're going to take their opportunity. Self-preservation at the end of the day. They're thinking about themselves. They're there to race. So, yeah, and that's what we need in F1 because it makes it exciting. You never heard me cuss. I try and keep it limited, Kurdish. We've already spoken about Colapinto Jr. I'll touch on it just lastly, but I do think it's a shame if it is for Colapinto. If they do go Colapinto, they have some great junior drivers in the wings, and I would like to see them actually utilise that junior academy that they've got and those great junior drivers they have coming through. And it'd be a slap in the face to those junior drivers if they do go for Colapinto, as much as I believe he should be on the grid for next year. The arrogance of youth. Exactly, mister. Which rookie am I most excited to see in 2025? I mean, you can't look past Antonelli. I'm excited to see Antonelli. I think he's going to ruffle a lot of feathers next season. I really do. I think he has that raw pace. I think he might be like Piastri was in his first season, where he's quick, but is found lacking really maybe with tyre management. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'm intrigued to see how Jack Doohan gets on, but unfortunately for him, I think he's going to be in a car that's not overly great. So we'll see. £100,000. Oh, well, the great thing is here on this channel, I don't have the FIA. I'm not working under the FIA, so I can swear as much as I like. What are my weekend predictions public? On a sheet to see who gets most correct each time I really want now. They're not really. No, I just kind of show them. I just kind of like go on the fly, really. My predictions of this weekend, I mean, it's very, very tough. I kind of have done for most previous weekends. Maybe I'm not. I'm going to go against the grain, actually. Oh, do I go for Lando P1? Or do I go for the emotional one with... So I think Lando's going to win this weekend. I do think we're going to see a dominant weekend from Lando. And that's partly hope. I think I've said this for the last 5 race weekends. Me hoping that the championship goes down to the last race. That's all I want. I just want the World Drivers' Championship. For there to be some scenario where Lando can win the championship. Just so that we have some intrigue in the last race. Because Abu Dhabi is such a boring race. I just really want there to be some intrigue for us to look forward to that finale. So I'm going to go Lando P1 in the race on Sunday. I am going to go bold, and actually I think Lewis Hamilton will dig deep this weekend. I think Mercedes will do well, and I think Lewis will be P2. I think Charles Leclerc, P3. My bold prediction is Max doesn't finish in the top 5. With Mercedes, with a bit of resurgence from Mercedes and Ferrari being there, and I think Piastri putting his finger out, I think Max could finish outside the top 5. With, of course, him... with his 5-place grid penalty as well. Maybe it's not that bold of a prediction, actually. Hey, let's go. Good to see you, mate. See, Leclerc has better pace than Sainz already. McLaren will have different tactic. Second down, Max has a 5-grid penalty. Yeah, I mean, look, they're probably just... It might be different tactics, Dusko. Of course, they've been found wanting, haven't they? In race weekends where we've had sprint races. So maybe it's a different approach from McLaren. So... When's the sprint race? Tomorrow morning. Well, I said tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, UK time. Tomorrow. I thought new engines were 10 places. Yeah, so it's not a brand new engine he's taken, Ariane. It's an ICE, so it's not quite an engine penalty. It's not quite a power unit penalty. But Charles Leclerc is on a lap on soft. So we now got drivers out there on the quali runs with 10 minutes remaining, or just under 9.5 minutes remaining in this session, guys. Let's keep an eye out on these drivers and see what lap times they set. So Charles Leclerc, oh, an 18.4 from him. So that's actually quite slow in the first sector from Charles Leclerc. Did he have a bit of a lock-up? That wasn't ideal for him. Lewis Hamilton is still on softs. Colapinto into P2, a 1:11.6. So Charles Leclerc looks like he's already backed out, I think. So he's not going quick. So I think he's backed out of this lap already. We haven't seen someone who's from other series, usually IndyCar, get into F1 since Montoya, I believe. I'm looking forward for it to happen. Yeah, but Montoya, I don't think Montoya didn't come from IndyCar into F1. He was in F1. I think he went junior ranks, didn't he? Then Formula 1, and then moved over to IndyCar, then moved into like NASCAR. So, yeah, Max's penalty is only 5 seconds. Sprint qualifying, Kurdish, is in a few hours' time, so it is at 6:30 UK time. I have a second stream set up for qualifying, so you can hop straight over to there in the waiting room, and we'll be live 15 minutes before it gets underway again. So turn your notifications on as well to be alerted of when I do go live, so that you will never miss a stream. He's not changing the whole engine, he's just changing the ICE internal combustion engine. Yeah, that's the one. Fit Max will qualify P5, then grid penalty for P10, then finish P8. Ooh, yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how he gets on. It's a tough call for Red Bull this weekend. It's a tough call. How do they approach it? As I said, like they don't really have that opportunity of out-qualifying Lando because of that grid place penalty. So... Ollie Behrman up to P2. Whoa. Just behind George Russell. Good lap from him. Alex Albon on a quick one as well as he comes through turn 14. down the finish straight, and he goes P3, just ahead. Well, quite comfortably ahead of Colapinto, actually. Not just ahead, 6 tenths, 6.5 tenths. Carlos Sainz P4. So still, of course, this is an indicator. So this is like the thing here, guys. We've just seen a lap there from Carlos Sainz, a 1:11.1. Now, I'm watching his onboard to see if he had any issues, any lockups and so forth. But if he didn't, then it's most likely that he just has more fuel on board. And maybe Ferrari just trying to hide a bit of their pace at this stage in FP1 as they head into sprint quali. I'm just watching Carlos Sainz's lap. Looks to be okay. No mistakes. So, yeah, most likely just running a bit more fuel. Maybe a different engine mode for them at this stage in this FP1. And that's why he's in P4. And Albon and Behrman ahead of him. Hamilton is still out there on mediums. Hamilton not coming in to do a quali run, interestingly. So Hamilton's purely focused on his setup, on his race setup, and getting some long run data, isn't he? 22 laps on that set of mediums. That's intriguing. That is intriguing. Max is not back out there yet. We'll see if he gets out there with 6 minutes remaining to do a quali run. Lando Norris is on a set of softs now as well. He's on a lap, an 18.6 from him in the first sector. As Lando did... Is that Lando or is that Piastri? Piastri ran wide into sector 1. So interestingly, these drivers have actually done quicker first sectors on a set of medium compound tyres than they have done on softs. So, more fuel. Yeah, most likely Dusko. Most likely. Do I think Zhou needs a better seat? No, I think Zhou's time has come to an end in F1, to be honest with you. I know he's quietly gone about his business, but he hasn't really done anything, has he, in F1 since he's joined. So... He hasn't. He's a bit like. He's not as bad as Sargent by any means. As Lando goes up there with a 110.8. He just hasn't done anything that makes me think you deserve a seat in another team, other than maybe like the 30 million that he brings with him in Chinese backing. Where do I expect Lawson next season? I do think Lawson will get that second RB Red Bull seat. I really do. I really do. Unless the Colapinto thing really comes through. I mean, what a change in fortune that'd be for Colapinto. Like you're then in the second Red Bull seat alongside Max, and then you're kind of just looking to him maybe for the future alongside Max and plug in that hole that Perez leaves financially. But If Colapinto does get that second Red Bull seat, with respect how good Colapinto has been, he's not there because he's an amazing driver. As much as I'm a fan, he's there for financial reasons because someone is supporting him somewhere and giving them money in replacement of Sergio Perez, basically. Did I hear the rumours about Perez getting sacked after Brazil? Yes, I have done. I don't know. I still think Perez will be in there to the end of the season. I just think... I don't know. I think they're putting on a bit of a... Helmut Marko will say obviously what he wants to say, but I think Christian Horner will just come out and say the usual things of, yeah, well, look, we need to assess performance and so forth. But if rumours are to be true, I think Carlos Slim stumped up another 30 million or something for Perez. So the money that they're going to lose in the constructors has no doubt been offset by the money that Carlos Slim and Perez's sponsors have given them. So they're basically gaining wind tunnel time for free, you know? They're not actually losing any money. Hey, Vash, good to see you, mate. Sergeant was always the 21st. He was always the 21st fastest. So, I can't show you the car, so how? No, copyright infringement that'd be. Is the track dusty? Doesn't look like it. No, doesn't look like it. Track is just... I mean, it looks very dark because it's a brand new track surface. Starting to see, obviously, the rubber be laid down into the braking zones where you'd expect to see it, but no, it doesn't look dusty to me. I mean, it's clear skies out there, so, and I don't think there's it's not that windy, is it? 4.7 mile an hour wind speed. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. So, No purple sectors with softs. I know. It's really intriguing. Really intriguing. Which either means the softs aren't firing up quick enough, or they're all running more fuel. So... But it is intriguing, but the softs aren't setting any purples, other than maybe the last sector. So, Perez is there until the money is gone. Well, I think he'll be gone. I think the money, even the money's not going to keep him there. Just watching on board the Lewis Hamilton getting the tyres starting to scream a bit as he went through some dirty air. What a lap that is from Behrman. Yeah, it's good. It is good. I will say this probably likely that they took a bit of fuel out the car, or maybe running a higher engine mode. This is the thing as well, is that even like on the softs in these quali runs, they have to run these engines pretty much to the end of the season, or they're going to try to. Otherwise, another engine penalty means that 10 places, and with how tight it is, especially for Ferrari and McLaren in both in the championships, that can be the be-all and end-all of a constructors run for Ferrari or Lando's opportunity in the World Drivers' Championship and the constructors as well. So yeah, that's why there's definitely more pace in these cars. You have to remember, as I said, on average this season, the cars are around a second quicker in qualifying, and Q3 for Sprint Shootout last year was a 10.6. I know we have a new track surface, and it, holy hell, is 57.1 degree track temperature right now, but it's always been very hot here, and I still expect them to be, even with this new track surface, probably half a second quicker. So minimum, really, minimum. Zhou wasn't given the car to prove himself. But you can still do more. There's still other, what's the right word? There's still other ways to judge a level of performance, more so than just having a car to prove yourself. Like he's ahead of Bottas in the standings because of countback in like one race. But Bottas has pretty much comfortably had Zhou on toast most of the season. And that's a clear indication that he hasn't performed in this car. Also, it shows like when the going gets tough, like, is he really the driver that he wants? So there we go. A 10.6 from Lando at the end there on their set of softs. So maybe, who knows? Hang on. Not sure about that with Mercedes. But yes, check out the flag, guys. So Lando pips in there at the top with a fastest lap of 10.6. Maybe it's a second out lap sort of circuit. I don't know. Maybe the softs aren't firing up in that first lap with this new track surface. We'll see. 57 degrees Celsius. Yep, Celsius. Imagine winning 7 races and still bottling the Drivers' Championship. I wouldn't say it's bottling. I think it's, and that's not really on Max. That's on Red Bull, isn't it? Not providing in the car to still win more races this season. So I called it. Max has got a 5-place grid penalty, yes, guys, and that's not being taken tomorrow. It's being taken on Sunday. We have confirmation of that. But yeah, guys, if you could hit that like button, it'd be much appreciated. Let's get this stream to 500 likes, shall we? FP1 is over and done with. Norris in P1, Russell P2, Ollie Behrman, who is stepping in for K-Mag as he has food poisoning in P3, Oscar Piastri P4, Alex Albon P5 on the mediums, but I think he did set a time on the softs. Leclerc in 6th, Sainz 7th, Hulkenberg 8th, Alonso 9th, Gasly 10th, Lawson 11th, Tsunoda 12th, Colapinto 13th, Bottas 14th, Verstappen 15th, Lewis Hamilton 16th, Stroll 17th, Ocon 18th, Perez 19th, and Zhou 20th. Now, do not read too much into Verstappen, Perez, and Hamilton being in the bottom 5 there, or the bottom 6. They basically did. Lewis didn't even run any of the soft. I don't think Lewis run the soft at all. No, he didn't. He just did the mediums. Verstappen literally went out there and did 1 lap on the softs and went, fuck that. And yeah. This is the one and only practice session for this weekend. So, of course, teams and drivers, different different approaches to this weekend to get their car set up. Of course, Verstappen has a slightly different approach this weekend as well, with him having that 5-place grid penalty on Sunday. So they do need to focus more on their race setup than they do qualifying. They can't really take that approach, as I thought they might do, of just trying to get ahead of Lando in qualifying. But of course, that's not really going to be feasible. Even if he finishes in pole, he'll still at best start in 6th, which you'd expect Lando to finish ahead of Max in qualifying in that regard and start a few positions ahead of him. So that strategy isn't going to work out. So they need to focus on ensuring their car is as best set up for the race as possible, or gather the data to do so anyway. What did Steve? Thank you, Steve-O. Much appreciated, mate. Give the link for the next session. I will give you the link for the next session. Hang on. I've got it set up already. If you go on my channel, you'll be able to see it already set up, no doubt. Waiting. Let me just go to it. Live. We can do that here. Oh. There you go, guys. That is the next session that I have set up for you already. You can go and wait over there for that. But of course, we're not just diving off just yet. I'll stick around and answer a few questions and just have a bit of chit chat. What penalties does Max have this weekend? Quicko, 5 place on Sunday. So, any expect for rain on Interlagos? Yeah, let's have a look, shall we? I checked yesterday and it did say that Interlagos was having rain tomorrow, intermittent anyway. Let's have a look here. So, Russell stating that was one bumpy ride. Wow. Scattered thunderstorms, guys. Thank you for the sub. Here we go. So, obviously, that's still ongoing. Saturday, scattered thunderstorms. Precipitation around the time of the sprint race is potentially, and qualifying, there's potentially rain. And then on Sunday, same thing. Scattered thunderstorms. The race is around this time. And it's quite a high percentage, so ooh, interesting weekend ahead of us. What's my music? It's just stream beats. A selection of stream beats. Copyright-free music, Marianne. It's just kind of background music. What is the championship mentality? I'd rather win Lando's way than Max's way. Yes. However, Max, of course, doesn't have that approach. And that's his prerogative. If he doesn't care, I don't like it, but ultimately, if he doesn't care, and he clearly doesn't care what people think, similar to Schumacher. I mean, how many people now look back at Schumacher and just go, yeah, he won 7 World Drivers' Championships. But they kind of look at but they forget how he won his first Drivers' Championship with his crash with Damon Hill, intentionally crashing there. And, like, Schumacher was less than clean, to say the least. And a lot of his championships were won in pure dominating fashion as well. So there's also that. Not to take anything away from Schumacher, because he was a great driver, but it's not like he was this pure racer and won it in great will-to-will fashion. No. Is Ollie going to the race to sprint because he is? Yes, Venkat. Yes. So the rule is that if you do qualifying, you then have to do the race. So yeah, unfortunately, K-Mag, if he's better tomorrow, will only be able to jump in the car for qualifying for the race on Sunday. Setup would be crucial if it's raining all weekend. It's going to be, yeah, the teams really have to be analysing that weather report, don't they? Really analysing the weather report. I think the thing is at Interlagos is that you can choose, obviously, you can go for low downforce, but then you're really going to suffer in the midsection where a lot of downforce is more required. So it might be a little bit easier to set up the car, actually, now I think about it, and go for maybe a more balanced setup where you're not losing too much top speed and you've got enough downforce in the middle sector. And if it does rain, then you're still comfortable that your car's not going to be so skittish. But yeah, I think... Look, we always know the best kind of races, or the most intriguing races, are not when it's like raining the whole time. When it starts dry and then it goes wet, or it starts wet and then it goes dry. Like that crossover period is really intriguing, especially at a track like Interlagos, where it's always pretty much a 2-stop race, and especially with the track temps and this brand new surface. I mean, we just saw the track temp get up to 57 degrees. That is super high, and that's not going to be very kind on the tyres. So. Sector times. Yeah, I'll get sector times up for you. Here we go. So most of these are also set on the mediums as well. Lando's purple time, of course. Lando's fastest sectors were set on the softs. But you can see there, I don't know, not really too much to take into consideration there, I think. Max Verstappen did apparently clock the fastest top speed. I don't know if he had a toe there, but yeah. Niki Lauda's ruthless. Yeah, too. Do I think they should issue penalty for first lap incidents? I do, Matt. Yeah, I think there's too much leniency on the first lap. Yeah, 100%. It's almost like you get a buy to do something shady on the first lap and just go, oh, it's no, like I had too many cars around me, you know. You think Behrman makes SQ3? I think he's in with a chance of SQ3. Yeah, definitely, especially in that Haas. So we've seen Behrman. He just missed out on He just missed out, didn't he, on Q3 at Baku? Although he did go up into P10. He started P10 because there was a penalty for someone. I can't remember who that was. A grid place penalty for someone. But yeah, no, I think, yeah, especially the form Haas is in at the moment, I think he can definitely get that into SQ3. I think Mercedes may be a dark horse for the win this weekend. Yeah, they looked okay. They did look okay. I predict a complete underdog to win on Sunday. Ooh, you think it's going to be carnage, Andy, yeah? Great hotness for the hard tyre. Yeah, I really don't know. I can't remember. I mean, it was definitely a two-stop. It was a two-stop last year. I think it's always been a two-stop here. Hope you watched my video on what makes Brazil a great track. Yes, guys, if you are yet to see it, I'm going to post a link in the chat, actually. So I put a video up. It was actually a video I put together last year. And I watched it back and I thought, you know what? Everything is still relevant of what I spoke about last year today, because it is basically just explaining what makes this track so good, how we have never had a poor race here, pretty much, especially when it's been the finale. And I think it's only a 7-minute watch, guys. Check that out. Really appreciate if you could just tune in and just drop that a like. It'd be much appreciated. Got lots of support on the Liam Lawson video as well, so more content like that coming your way as well, guys. You think a Hulk podium? You think Hulkenberg's finally going to get that elusive podium? You really think so, Andy? I'm going to bank that. If it does, I know if he's on course for it, you're definitely going to be jumping straight in here, aren't you? So first lap collisions would be classed as racing incident. Disgusting. Yeah, I know. I agree. I just think it's stupid. Like, I understand if there's certain. I understand, like, with Yuki Tsunoda, Alex Albon, and Gasly, that's a first lap incident, right? Or a first corner incident where you've got so many cars around you and so forth, and there's so many different moving parts. I get that. That's what that rule is there for. But if you consciously make a move down the inside, or you force another driver off the track, and you're not ahead at the apex as the rules stand, or like as an example, Kota. Max lunged down the inside of Lando, and there was the discussion of, did he actually go off circuit himself? Did he force Lando off? And there is an angle looking back up the circuit from someone who's on like that tower, where you can see Max actually does go outside the white lines, so he has gone off track himself, and that really there should be a penalty. I think he should have given that position back to Lando, because he hasn't been able to stay on track himself, and Lando didn't gain an advantage because he lost that position. He lost a few positions, didn't he? So I think in that scenario, that's a conscious decision by Max to lunge up the inside there, and it just so happens to be that it's Max, but it's the most recent example of kind of like a lap one, turn one kind of incident. That isn't him basically going, oh, but I've made an error there because there's so many cars around me and it goes down as a racing incident. No, that's a conscious decision by him to put his car up into that space and then not slow his car down enough to leave enough racing room for Lando, or stay within track limits himself. And whether it's him, whether it's another driver who does it, like, it should be penalised. It should be penalised. So I should report F1 news too. I do to an extent, David. Like if there's big F1 talking points, I will do a video on it. I don't do this full time, unfortunately. I'm back to work next week, and it's tough for me to kind of jump on stuff. And it's not really who I am, just jumping on and being very... I will be reactionary, of course I will do, but I'm not like... is it Tactical Rob? He basically jumps on any little bit of... He jumps on any single rumour that is like posted on Reddit, and credit to him, he pumps out the content. But that's not really kind of what my channel is. 5 places back for Max in the rain is not going to be such a big thing. Yeah, he'll be probably... I think he'll be hoping for rain. I think Max in particular and Red Bull will be hoping for it. We know how good Max is in the rain. He'll be hoping for it, so... Can they take points away for causing a collision? They can. They can if they think it's dangerous driving, Drew. But they don't. I mean, the last time there was a... Oh, Christian Horner. Hang on, sorry. I just have to interrupt myself. Christian Horner is now on Sky Sports claiming he doesn't like the racing rules and talking about the risk of drivers just sending it down the inside a bit, making sure they're ahead at the apex first. It was okay for you back at Circuit Americas, mate. You're such a hypocrite. Such a hypocrite. It was all right when it was okay for your driver, but now he's on the receiving end of penalties. Honestly, I can't. Just... The last time I think a driver actually got kind of DQ'd from a race and lost points, from my memory, for dirty driving was Schumacher, wasn't it? Was it Schumacher? Were he 97 with Jacques Villeneuve? I think. Correct me if I'm wrong there, guys. So... Yeah, I know. Assailant. Yeah, it's just Horner. It's okay when it's okay when it's his driver. It's not okay when it's... I mean, look, I've said this before. Horner, as much as I don't like the guy, he is the if you want a team principal and you're setting up a team, you want Horner because he'll die for your driver. Like, he will support them, even if they're in the wrong, and he will die on that hill for him. And he knows how to play the political game of F1. And that's why people don't like him. There's other reasons why people don't like him, of course, but yeah. So sprint qualifiers in a few hours' time, Josh. Yes. Interlagos has one practice because there is a sprint race weekend again. It is a sprint race weekend. FP1 is over around here. Yep. So sprint qualifying is on. I need to go back to my own live. When will I be live? 6:15 UK time. So we're talking 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. If I had to solve an escape room with any two drivers on the grid, who would it be? Ooh. I mean, I don't know them personally, so I don't know how kind of intelligent they are. I'd probably... I feel like I'd want Lewis Hamilton because he's a bit wiser, he's a bit older. I feel like he'd know how to get out of an escape room. And I think, who else would I go for? Who else is pretty like... Probably George Russell. So I feel like those two have got like their heads screwed on, you know? I don't know. I don't know them, so... I think the last DQ was in 2000s because of the F1 Black Flags moments vid. Ah, okay. Well, I know kind of... I mean, there was a race ban, wasn't there, for Romain Grosjean, but it wasn't really a DQ. I mean, obviously, he crashed out himself, so... yeah, I agree, Stephen. Yeah. So... Carlos and Lewis. Carlos seems level-headed too. Yeah, maybe Charles Leclerc as well. I think Charles Leclerc's got... I mean, he plays piano, Charles Leclerc. You don't play piano unless, like, you kind of... like smart, you know, and got your head screwed on. So Charles Leclerc maybe as well. I don't think Oliver will outperform Esteban Ocon next season. I think next season. So there's a number of inter-team dynamics I'm intrigued to see next season. We've already got Mercedes with George Russell and Anthony. We've already got Gasly. I mean, the rookies, wherever the rookies are going, is going to be interesting. I'm intrigued to see how Piastri and Norris, of course, get on next season as well. If Piastri can hit the ground running. Albon and Sainz, of course, as well. That's an interesting inter-team. There's lots of stories going on next year in the teams, especially like with the drivers. And I think Behrman has the talent, yeah, to cover off Ocon quite comfortably. And we know Ocon kind of always tangles with his teammates. So yeah, we'll see how that gets on. Gravel will solve a lot of today's problems, and I think Norris should predict Max's moves. I actually disagree, Dusko. So I think gravel now would actually make the problem worse, because how the rules are currently written, in the fact of that the driver has to be ahead at the apex, and that's their corner. You will see more drivers. You will never see an outside driver basically attempt an overtake. I think that's what you'd end up getting. You'd see an outside driver never attempt an overtake, because if it's very close, like the inside driver doesn't know if he's ahead at the apex or not. If he did that in Mexico and the gravel was there, bye crash happen. I get that, but so it would probably limit that, but it won't limit the forcing the other driver off the circuit, like say we saw with Lando. If there was gravel there, he probably would. I mean, he'd have to try and stay in it or just massively pull out, and there's a potential that Lando would be out of the race, when actually he was ahead at the apex and he was entitled to that room. And as we know, Max isn't going to get DQ'd for that, because he would say, well, I thought I was ahead at the apex. It's fair. Within the rules, I'm entitled to do that. Yeah, you can give me a 10-second penalty for it, but he's got what he's want and Lando is out. But even in any scenario, whoever that driver is, the outside, you're going to see less and less overtakes around the outside, unless there is a real overlap, which doesn't happen a lot unless there's like a massive DRS drag, you know, and that's not the racing that we want. So I think if the racing rules were leave racing room at all times, yes, gravel is the answer, but not as they are right now, because you'd always just force the overtaking driver on the outside to just back out, because they can't stay in it, because they're going to go into the gravel and potentially beach or just do damage to their own car. Since Alpine is not going to use their engine supply in 26, and will Mercedes engine supply, does it show a sign? Yes, 100% agree, Junior. Yeah, Flavio Briatore was not brought into that team to make it better. He was there to asset strip the team. So Alpine are slowly not being Alpine. I think they can't just up and leave. There's no doubt maybe some contractual reasons for it, and of course there's monetary reasons for it as well, in regards to what they own. But yeah, I think there's rumours of them wanting to sell off land, which their factories are currently based on, as well. When you actually dig in, the devil is in the detail. When you actually dig into it, yeah, they're just trying to basically wind down the F1 team, and it'll probably be sold next season, end of next season, I reckon. It really wouldn't surprise me. 2026, Alpine is no longer Alpine. It'll be someone else. Someone else would have bought the team. I mean, the engine, them moving to Mercedes engine is that first clear sign, isn't it? So, but I mean, you burn rubber and destroy brakes, so maybe a waiting game is a better tactic. Yeah, but in the heat of the battle, they don't. A lot of drivers don't think about that, do they? They think about that exact moment. So, McLaren's got the most wind tunnel time. This year they had done, yeah. Next year they won't. Hey Karam, I'm good, thanks, man. Yeah, I know. Checo had a shocker last weekend, didn't he? So, what time sprint qualifying start? In an hour. Sprint qualifying starts on the. I'm live at 6:15, so 2.5 hours from now, pretty much. Yeah, and qualifying starts in basically 2.5 hours time. So, do I think pre-practice for sprint weekend should be 90 minutes? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I think with them being able to change their setups now after the sprint race, probably not. But I think if that rule still stood that they were locked in for their setup for the whole weekend, then a 90-minute practice would have been probably nice. Yeah. Maybe RB will give DI a last chance in Red Bull and they could get sponsors as well. That's been the rumour that's floated about, that Daniel Ricciardo might get a last hurrah. I really don't know. Maybe. Yeah, maybe they will. It wouldn't surprise me. I guess it depends if I mean, if Max has got the championship wrapped up or not. I think if Max wins the championship already, before Abu Dhabi, I think they might do that. But yeah, I really don't know. Red Bull's just, with Sergio Perez there at the moment, he really is putting a spanner in the works for a lot of like Red Bull's plans, I think. But I mean, they're the ones who put themselves in this position in getting a driver from outside their academy system and also taking the extra cash. So Leclerc in Bahrain in 22 is a perfect example how Norris should have raced. Yeah, well, all of them, isn't it, really? Ocon Pinto gets a seat, but RB is not a good option for any young driver. They do not respect drivers. They will keep him in the simulator for years, and the Daniel treatment. Yeah, I don't know. I think while Max is there, yeah, the second seat might be a bit of a poison chalice, but I think Max is probably on his way out. And I think you've also got to remember that these drivers, they don't look at it that way. It is still a drive. You've got to back yourself. All these young drivers back themselves. So they know how good Max is, but they will back themselves to go into that team and do a job. Now, that's not necessarily to beat Max from the get-go, but to at least say, I've earned my right to be here, and yeah, eventually I will beat Max. Because Max isn't untouchable. There will be other drivers that come through that are as quick or quicker than Max Verstappen. Like, there are drivers on that grid now that can take it to Max in equal machinery. We saw Lewis do that. I'm sure Charles Leclerc will be able to do it as well. Lando, of course, is learning how to fight Max, of course, but I'm sure he'll live and learn. And it'd be very interesting to see Oscar Piastri go toe-to-toe with Max as well. I think Piastri very much has the pace and the know-how to go with toe-to-toe with Max. So he's not like this untouchable driver god. And these young drivers like Lawson, Tsunoda, Hadjar, they've got to back yourselves. Otherwise, what's the point of being in the sport? And it's also a drive in a top team where you can win races. And there's only 20 seats on the grid. And if that opportunity is presented to you, you don't turn that down. You just don't. You don't turn that down. If it ends up being that, okay, look, I didn't put the performances in, then so be it. But don't turn that seat down if it comes calling. Our soft's good. 3 for tyre race like Lewis, save 1. I have absolutely no idea in regards to... I mean, yeah, Lewis has definitely saved a set of softs, so that's intriguing. Bad, yeah, that's very intriguing. I think it was more so I don't think maybe it was strategy in regards to tyre saving. I think it was more so him wanting to maybe dial in the setup for this weekend because it is only one practice session. I don't pay attention to Mr. Beast, Moon. Yeah, that's not my remit. I know who he is. I've watched some of his content, but all that YouTube drama. I mean, there's some... I'm going to laugh now. I've had in my WhatsApp groups, and on TikTok, I've been made aware of some TikTok content creation drama. It just makes me laugh. I'm not there to get involved with that, and I'm just like, honestly, do people not have better things to do at the end of the day? So there's enough drama going on in F1 itself, let alone between content creators, you know. Oliver getting third is wild. Yeah, well, look, it's practice. Don't read too much into what Ollie's done there. No doubt he probably had it's good start for him. No doubt they took some fuel out of the car to build some confidence for him, but I expect him to put in a good quality as Haas have been on. So, do I watch MotoGP? No, unfortunately I don't. Mr. Apex does have a MotoGP podcast though, so I highly recommend you go check that out, Rambir. One of the only MotoGP podcasts out there. So, what else was I saying here? Dusker, do I think the 47-point gap can come under 30 this race? We then have a thriller. I think so. Yeah, I really do, Dusko. Yeah, well, we mentioned. So I looked at the points. I looked at the points differences, and I'll bring up this page. I'll show you where the points difference is. I mean, people forget, don't they? So this is racing news, right? So let me close all this down so you guys can see. So basically, here's the points, right? For F1. And first is 25 points. Now, Max has got a 5-place grid penalty, right? So if he starts first, if he qualifies in first, he's best starting 6th. Now, we know McLaren and Ferrari are doing very well at the moment. It's arguably that Max might only qualify 5th, and then he has to start in 10th. And the Mercs also could chime in as well. Max, let's say, finishes 6th, or outside the top 5. He finishes 6th. That's 17 points there. Of course, we've still got the sprint race as well, where Lando can make up an advantage. And then we also have... there's also the possibility that Max might finish even lower than 5th. And then that increases. So there is potential here with that penalty for a big point swing that Lando has been looking for. But that is also Lando knuckling down and converting this race win, which he hasn't been able to do recently and throughout the duration of this season. So this is on the basis of Lando putting in a great performance and converting that first place. There's no guarantee he will. Ferrari look good. The Mercedes may turn up, but we never know how they're going to do. And it's a sprint race weekend again, where McLaren, if memory serves me correctly, have not done too well at sprint race weekends. They've always been left kind of chasing the weekend in regards to their setup. They have a bit of a poor start, and then they sort it out for the race on Sunday, but their sprint races haven't been too great. So hopefully Lando and Piastri will be hoping they've got their car in a decent window. That lap from Lando at the end looked like it did, but we'll see. People interested in the kind of drama. Look, if that's what people are interested in, that's what people are interested in. But yeah, who will perform better, McLaren or Ferrari, and how will Piastri do? I mean, I still think McLaren are slightly the better car than Ferrari. We will see though. I mean, ultimately, it's been driver errors from Norris and from Piastri in recent race weekends, which has meant that they haven't won the races, they haven't qualified on pole, and yeah, Lando and Piastri both need to get their act together. Piastri definitely does need to help McLaren. So in the constructors, not just Lando, but definitely in the constructors. What are my thoughts of Rocket Powered Mohawk? It's not really my sort of content. That's not really what I consume. I've seen a couple of his stuff, but yeah, it's not. He's obviously doing very well. I think he's got over 500,000 subscribers, so fair play to him. Not really my sort of style of content and what I'm interested in. So yeah, don't really have fair play to him for doing as well as he is. It's not really for me. Do I like? It's a Mr. Beast meme. Oh, I don't know. As I said, don't pay too much attention to it. So, but yeah, guys, right, that is it for this F1 British BS talk. And that right there gets you a timeout. If you're going to come onto this stream and talk about British bias bullshit, like, just go away. I'm not entertaining that. Do you think, with the swearing situation, FIA should talk to the media departments and the journalists to only keep certain things and remove the swearing rather than pressuring the drivers? I don't think it's really the media and the journalists that lead to that, though. There's bigger things for the FIA to worry about rather than swearing. And the thing is, it's not like they're going in there and effing and blinding all the time. Like, it's a slip of the tongue. It's like one word. And also, it's just a word. Like, is anyone truly offended? Like, yes, I get it. Like, kids, like, you don't necessarily want kids to hear swear words. But it's not like Max is going, F this, F that, shit this, C word this and stuff. Like, in press conferences. Like, yeah, that deserves community service and a fine and so forth. But a slip of the tongue, a little apology, sorry, done, move on. Like, the more you dwell on it, the more kids are going to go, oh, what is that? Why are they all talking about this? What was so wrong with that? Like, you gloss over it and just move on to the next thing and your quick apology, done, dusted. So, yeah, exactly. And do you know what? It's not like, I mean, Jesus, there's a lot more worse words out there than the F word, you know? So, Hello, Nico. Sitting in a content creator, asking about other YouTubers. Nappy's time for you. Horse time for you. Yeah, I'm actually going to go now and check on little one. Hopefully she's asleep. I left her with the missus. But I was up with her till 5 a.m. So, yeah, it's kind of the daytime's been her shift. What's my opinion on the new 2026 car? I personally think it's a downgrade. I don't know. I think actually it's heading in the right direction. I do. I think these cars are too big. I think they're too complicated when it comes to the power units. They're trying to simplify that. And I think, who came out recently? Someone very influential. I think it might have even been Martin Brundle. I think Martin Brundle said moving to the hybrid engines was a mistake. That has a lot of weight coming from Martin Brundle. I think someone else as well said moving to the hybrid era was a mistake. So I think going back to slightly smaller cars, as long as F1 is still like the quickest motorsport, what does it matter really? Active aero is a good idea, I think, as well. Trying to move away from DRS, I think it'd be good. But I think at the moment it's more so the racing rules that are the issue. But I think the regs will be pushed back to 27. To be honest with you, the harvesting. Oh, I know. I think it's because in America they don't allow any swearing. No, the Brits are like that as well. We're very apologetic when it comes to a swear word on daytime TV. Very apologetic. So, but you go out into the real world and people, I mean, you'll hear it every single day of your life. So, but anywho, that is it for me, guys. I'm gonna call it a day with this. Well, not a day, because we'll be back soon for Sprint Shootout. But that is it for this stream. Big thank you for everyone for tuning in. Yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hey, Leo. I would like the F1 cars to be a little bit more nimble in slow speed corners. 100%, Leo. Yeah, I think that's what the biggest... These got. So, just before I leave, these cars are the biggest and the heaviest in the history of F1. When these cars first initially came out, the drivers stated how slow they were and horrible they were through the slow corners. Of course, they've become more accustomed to that now. It's strange because they are the quickest cars in F1 history. I think they are. It's crazy to think that, yet the drivers don't like driving them compared to, say, the W12, like 2021 as an example, the last year of that regulation set. So, as a sim racer, yeah, it was definitely noticeable going from the W12 to the W13, wasn't it, Leo? It was like, oh my God, this is like driving a tank through the corners compared to the W12. It was maneuverable as them. But yeah, no, I think slightly making them smaller again, ensuring that there's more racing room. I mean, we're moving more towards in the right direction. But I think I'm still waiting for the 26 regs to be pushed back to 27. It might not be a bad thing because we're currently in a good place with F1 at the moment with 4 teams being very close in performance. And yeah, hopefully we at least get 2 more years of that rather than just the 1. So, but yeah, have a get some food. Go do what you need to do for a few hours. Nice little break, and we'll catch you in a few hours, guys. Which is 6:15 UK time. So I think that's now just over 2 hours till I go live again. So turn your notifications on. We're in for an interesting sprint shootout. Who's going to be on pole position? Not long to find out, guys. Not long to find out. So yeah, thanks as always. Thanks for all the subs, and we'll see you in a couple of hours. Bye.